I have seen the photographs of humanoids that are based in Antarctica, and that what he has seen with his own eyes.
Investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe, who has spent her entire career pursuing the incredible secrets of Antarctica's frozen world, has recently delivered a final, horrifying warning from her highest-level military sources. For decades, her shocking stories have painted a picture of alien bases and lost pyramids buried deep beneath the ice, a fantastical tale of ancient visitors from other worlds. But in their final confession, these insiders revealed a terrifying reversal, telling her to forget the aliens because the real secret isn't about who came from the sky, but about what is waking up deep below. An invisible energy source that is actively melting the continent from the inside out and could drown much of the Earth. So the questions remain. What is this mysterious energy source hidden beneath Wilkes Land? Why are governments so desperately hiding this truth? And how high will the sea level truly rise when this secret is finally revealed? A deathbed confession. The secret is not extraterrestrial. For many years, the name Linda Moulton Howe has been synonymous with the deepest and most controversial mysteries of Antarctica, a continent defined by its impenetrable ice and closely guarded secrets. Her career as an investigative journalist has been built upon a foundation of shocking reports detailing colossal, octagonal structures emerging from the ice, strange hieroglyphs that defy known history, and non-human technologies operating in the crushing depths. The narrative she has shared with the world, woven from the hushed testimonies of military whistleblowers, has consistently pointed towards an ancient, extraterrestrial presence, a story of alien visitors and lost civilizations buried for millennia. This has been the established legend, a fantastic tale of what might lie beneath the most isolated place on Earth, a story that has captivated and polarized audiences for decades. But in a series of urgent and what were described as final communications during the 2024 to 2025 period, her most trusted, high-level military sources delivered a message that chillingly swept aside everything she and the world thought they knew. This was not another chapter in the alien saga. It was a horrifying epilogue to the story of humanity itself. "Forget the stories about aliens, Linda," one source reportedly stated, his tone devoid of any fantasy and filled only with a grave sense of urgency. "The real danger isn't coming from the stars. It is surging up from below the ice, and it is going to drown us all." This deathbed confession, a truth deemed too heavy to carry to the grave, pivoted away from science fiction and towards a terrifying, imminent reality. The great secret of Antarctica, they claimed, was not about ancient creatures or buried spacecraft. It was about a fundamental physical variable that has been deliberately omitted from every public equation and climate model our civilization relies upon for its survival. Their assertion is that the current models predicting sea level rise, the ones used by governments and scientific bodies worldwide, are not just slightly inaccurate, they are catastrophically wrong. They are wrong because they are missing the single most important factor, a hidden engine of immense power that is actively accelerating the collapse of the world's largest ice sheet. These sources describe an anomalous, unidentified energy source that is quietly cooking the East Antarctic ice sheet from its very foundation, from the bedrock up. This process is not accounted for in any mainstream scientific projections, which primarily blame warming ocean waters and atmospheric temperatures. This hidden mechanism, they insist, is the true driver behind the accelerating ice melt, a truth so world-altering that it has been intentionally suppressed. The implications are staggering, suggesting that our understanding of the planet's future is based on incomplete, and therefore dangerously misleading, information. This claim is so monumental that it borders on the unbelievable. But if this is not a work of elaborate fiction, then tangible, verifiable signs of its existence must be present in the world of hard science. There must be shadows of this terrifying truth visible on the surface, captured by the very instruments we use to monitor our planet. So, what publicly available scientific data recorded by globally trusted agencies like NASA and the European Space Agency, can we look at to find the first clues of this hidden, world-ending catastrophe? Wilkes Land, where public science reaches its limit. The answer lies in a specific desolate region of East Antarctica known as Wilkes Land, a place that is not a landscape of conspiracy theory, but rather a hotbed of modern, cutting-edge science, where the most baffling data is currently being collected. For decades, this enormous territory was considered the stable, dormant heart of the continent, a sleeping giant locked in a deep freeze. But recently, this giant has begun to stir, and the publicly available data, while meticulously gathered and peer-reviewed, paints a deeply unsettling picture that struggles to fit within conventional explanations. The first and most significant clue is a scientifically confirmed fact that has puzzled researchers for years. Data from NASA's GRACE satellites and the European Space Agency's GO-CE mission, both designed to map Earth's gravitational field with incredible precision, confirmed the existence of a colossal gravity anomaly buried deep beneath the Wilkes Land ice. This is essentially a location where the pull of Earth's gravity is significantly stronger, detected by the way it ever so slightly tugs on satellites passing overhead, indicating the presence of a vast, incredibly dense mass hidden deep beneath the ice. The official scientific explanation for this staggering feature, which measures nearly 500 kilometers across, is that it is the scar of a massive meteorite impact from millions of years ago, a remnant of a cataclysmic event that predates the ice itself. This theory suggests a massive, dense piece of the Earth's mantle may have surged upward to fill the crater, creating the gravitational pull. This is a plausible and widely accepted hypothesis. However, this anomaly's existence takes on a far more alarming significance when correlated with a series of very recent and dramatic events. In March of 2022, the Conger-Glenser ice shelf, located on the coast of Wilkes Land and directly adjacent to the region of the gravity anomaly, suddenly and completely collapsed. This event shocked the scientific community because this part of East Antarctica was thought to be largely immune to the rapid disintegration seen elsewhere on the continent. The event was a geological blink of an eye, a warning shot that the region's stability was a dangerous illusion. Following this collapse, further studies in 2024 and 2025 have continued to issue warnings of spreading instability throughout the area. This leads to the third and perhaps most critical piece of the public puzzle. Recent data from the ESA's Cryosat-2 satellite, a mission specifically designed to measure the thickness of polar ice, has revealed something extraordinary happening beneath the surface. It has mapped a newly active and sprawling network of more than 85 subglacial lakes, vast bodies of liquid water that are waking up and linking together directly under this zone of instability. These subglacial lakes and the rivers that connect them act as a gigantic lubrication system. When this much water is present at the base of the ice sheet, it dramatically reduces the friction between the ice and the bedrock, allowing the colossal glaciers above to slide towards the ocean at a much faster, more alarming rate. The mainstream scientific consensus explains this phenomenon by pointing to warming ocean waters that are penetrating beneath the ice shelves, melting the ice from below and feeding this subglacial plumbing system. But here is where the official explanation begins to show cracks, and the unsettling questions begin to surface. While warming oceans are undeniably a critical factor, can they alone account for the sheer scale and focused intensity of the melting occurring from the bottom up in this specific location? Is it merely a coincidence that the epicenter of this newfound instability, this sudden ice shelf collapse, and this hyperactive network of lubricating subglacial lakes are all situated directly on top of the largest gravity anomaly on the planet? Or is the official explanation incomplete? Could the warming ocean be a contributing factor, but not the primary cause? If that gravity anomaly is not just a dead, passive meteorite crater, but is instead an active, functioning engine of some kind, then how exactly is it providing the immense energy required to fuel this accelerating collapse from below? The Hell Machine, the mysterious engine beneath the ice. This is the precise point where the public scientific narrative phrase and the stark, chilling warnings from Linda Moulton Howe's military insiders begin to offer a terrifyingly coherent alternative. It is here that the story transitions from observable yet puzzling data into a direct explanation of the hidden mechanism they claim is driving the impending catastrophe. According to these sources, who have risked everything to bring this information to light, the Wilkes Land gravity anomaly is absolutely not a passive, dead remnant of a long-forgotten meteorite impact. Their descriptions, pieced together from classified sensor readings and suppressed research, paint a picture of something far more complex and active. They refer to it not as a lump of dense rock, but as a vast geometric structure or a powerful energy grid of unknown origin, a machine-like system of colossal scale that is very much operational. The core of their revelation lies in how this structure functions. One engineer, who claimed to have worked on classified remote sensing programs over the continent, described it in starkly simple terms that bypass complex physics. Imagine a colossal microwave oven buried 2 miles deep, an appliance the size of a small country. This analogy is crucial because the energy it is reportedly emitting is not like conventional geothermal heat from a volcano, which would create a more diffuse and easily detectable signature. Instead, it allegedly radiates a specific, targeted form of energy that interacts directly with water molecules. This energy causes the frozen molecules at the very bottom of the ice sheet to vibrate violently, generating immense heat from the inside out, effectively unfreezing the ice sheet at its deepest and most foundational level. It is a process of molecular agitation, a far more efficient and focused method of melting ice than simply warming it from the outside. This shocking hypothesis, while sounding like something from science fiction, provides a disturbingly perfect explanation for the very real phenomena that mainstream science is currently struggling to fully account for. It acts as the missing piece of the puzzle, connecting all the disparate, alarming data points from Wilkes Land. First, it explains the sudden and coordinated activation of the vast subglacial lake network. These lakes are not just passively waking up due to a slow increase in basal melt. They are being actively energized, superheated from below by this powerful source. This would account for the sheer volume of water and the intense hyperactivity that satellites are now detecting. Second, this hell machine is the direct power source for the lubrication system that is now threatening the entire ice sheet. The immense quantity of meltwater it generates at the bedrock is creating a near frictionless surface, allowing the unimaginable weight of the glaciers above to begin sliding toward the ocean, not just under their own weight, but propelled by an active, relentless force. Finally, and most importantly, this theory explains why the instability, the ice shelf collapse, and the intense basal melting are so fiercely concentrated in this specific region. It is not a random continental process. It is a localized effect happening directly above the source of the energy. The warming ocean waters may be attacking the edges of the continent, but this engine is ungluing it from its very foundation. If this is true, it means the stability of the entire East Antarctic ice sheet is not a matter of gradual climate change, but is instead dependent on the output of an unknown, unpredictable, and potentially uncontrollable machine. And if a heat engine on a continental scale, an object of this magnitude and power, truly exists and is currently in operation, it is simply inconceivable that the international scientific community would not be aware of it. So why are there no massive, publicly announced drilling projects racing to investigate the single most important geological feature on the planet? Why are we not seeing a global scientific effort converging on Wilkes Land? Or perhaps the most terrifying question of all is, are they already aware and are being actively prevented from ever getting close enough to prove it? The no-fly zones. A perfectly orchestrated silence. The existence of a functioning, continent-sized heat engine beneath the ice presents a problem of such immense scale that it leads to an unavoidable and deeply disturbing conclusion. This silence is not born from ignorance. It is the result of a deliberate and rigidly enforced policy. The evidence for this orchestrated silence is not hidden in classified documents, but is in plain sight, mapped out for anyone to see, in the form of the vast restricted access and no-fly zones that blanket the most critical areas of inland Antarctica. Officially, the existence of these zones is explained through perfectly reasonable and publicly accepted justifications. Nations that are signatories to the Antarctic Treaty designate these areas to protect pristine, untouched environments from human contamination, to safeguard sensitive scientific experiments, or simply because the extreme conditions, including unpredictable magnetic interference and severe weather, make air travel exceptionally hazardous. On the surface, these explanations are not only plausible but also commendable, suggesting a global commitment to preserving the last great wilderness on Earth. However, according to the insiders who have broken their silence, these official reasons serve as a convenient and impenetrable cover story for a far more critical objective: information containment. The true purpose of these restricted zones, they insist, becomes terrifyingly clear when one performs a simple act of data overlay. When you take the official map of these no-fly and restricted access zones and superimpose it over the geophysical maps showing the location of the Wilkes Land gravity anomaly and the associated thermal hotspots, you witness a chillingly precise overlap. The areas that are most strictly off-limits to independent travel and overflight are the very same areas that sit directly above the mysterious energy source. This is not a coincidence of geography. The sources claim these zones were established not to prevent scientists from bringing contaminants in, but to prevent them from bringing undeniable data out. They form a geographic quarantine, a buffer zone designed to stop anyone from getting close enough with the right equipment to independently verify the nature of the energy readings and confirm the existence of the subglacial engine. The motivation for a cover-up on this unprecedented scale, a conspiracy of silence involving multiple world powers, is rooted in the most basic and primal of all government imperatives: the prevention of uncontrollable global chaos. The individuals behind this secrecy are not necessarily evil, but are instead paralyzed by the sheer magnitude of the truth they are guarding. They have calculated the consequences of public disclosure, and the outcome is a scenario that no government on Earth is prepared to handle. The official confirmation of an active, unstoppable, and unpredictable heat source melting the world's largest ice sheet from below would instantly render every current climate change model obsolete. It would trigger an immediate and catastrophic collapse of the global financial system as markets priced in the inevitable loss of every coastal city and trillions of dollars in real estate and infrastructure. It would ignite mass panic, leading to uncontrolled migrations on a scale never before seen in human history, as billions of people sought higher ground. It would, in short, trigger the complete and irreversible unraveling of global order. Faced with this certainty, they chose silence, a desperate gamble to buy time and maintain stability for as long as possible. But the ice continues to melt, and the system below continues its work, indifferent to human politics. If the insiders are correct, and the world's governments are actively concealing the truth because its consequences are too terrifying to face, then this raises the final and most important question of all. If the official models from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the very foundation of our climate policy, are fundamentally wrong because they are missing this critical variable, then exactly how wrong are they? If they are hiding the truth to prevent panic, what is the specific, catastrophic number they are so afraid of us knowing? Just how much higher is the water actually going to get? 5 meters in a few decades. The doomsday number. This, then, is the ultimate secret that has been guarded with such absolute desperation. The final number, calculated not from the incomplete public climate models, but from the classified internal projections that account for the active and accelerating influence of the Wilkes Land heat engine, is the sole reason for the decades of orchestrated silence and denial. While the public world debates a future of managed retreat from a sea level rise cautiously projected to be around 1 meter by the end of this century, the secret, internal models predict a cataclysm of an entirely different order of magnitude. The figure that has paralyzed governments and enforced this global conspiracy of silence is a sea level rise of between 3 to 5 meters. or roughly 10 to 16 feet. And the most critical component of this calculation is not just the height, but the terrifying speed at which it is projected to occur. Not over the course of centuries, but within the span of just a few short decades. This catastrophic difference in outcome is rooted in a fundamental difference in mechanism. The public models are largely based on a linear process of thermal expansion and gradual melting, where ice disappears at a relatively predictable rate as atmospheric and ocean temperatures slowly rise. The insider models, however, are based on a non-linear, threshold-based collapse event. They understand that the heat engine beneath Wilkes Land is not simply melting the ice, it is systematically engineering the failure of the entire ice sheet's foundation. It has spent decades creating a massive, unstable system of super-lubricated bedrock, and this system is now approaching its breaking point. When that critical threshold is reached, the process will cease to be one of gradual melting. Instead, it will trigger a rapid, unstoppable structural failure, a decoupling event where a vast section of the inland ice sheet, a mass of frozen water so large it defies comprehension, will catastrophically detach and slide into the Southern Ocean. The consequences of such an event are not a matter of scientific speculation. They are a matter of brutal physical certainty. A 3 to 5 meter rise in global sea levels in such a compressed time frame is not a manageable crisis. It is a civilization-ending event. It would represent the permanent and irreversible inundation of every coastal city on the planet, wiping out places like New York, London, Shanghai, and countless others, along with the homes of billions of people and the majority of the world's vital infrastructure and agricultural land. It would trigger the largest forced migration in human history, an exodus of billions of climate refugees that would shatter every border and overwhelm every social and economic system on the planet. It would mean the end of the global order as we know it, a descent into a desperate struggle for survival on a scale that has never been seen. This is the future they have foreseen, and this is the panic they have sought to prevent by hiding the cause. The truth was deemed too massive, too destructive, to ever be released. And yet, it has been. The sources who came forward to Linda Moulton Howe did so because they understood a greater, more profound truth. They realized that the clock was running out, that the physical processes happening 2 miles beneath the Antarctic ice were indifferent to human politics and secrecy. They understood that to remain silent was no longer a strategy to maintain stability, but an act of complicity in a global catastrophe. As one of them stated in their final, haunting message, a justification for breaking the highest levels of national security. This truth is too big to take to the grave, not when silence means complicity in the destruction of everything we know. The final confession from deep within Antarctica is not a story of ancient aliens, but a terrifying scientific equation. A hidden energy engine is melting the ice from below, pushing our world toward an unstoppable collapse, a sea level rise that far exceeds all official warnings. While governments chose silence to delay the panic, the whistleblowers knew they could no longer remain complicit in a global catastrophe. The silence is now broken, and the terrifying secret has been revealed, leaving humanity to face a future where the most critical question is no longer if the water will rise, but how soon.